Hello there and welcome back to some more Grand Theft Auto 3. Today we're continuing our Let's Play. This is episode 29. In today's episode we are beginning our look at the Shoreside odd jobs with our first look at import-export. Now there's actually two lists in the game, one of them here in Shoreside and one of them in Portland. We'll take a look at the Portland one at a later date because the Portland one is actually the harder of the two, believe it or not. The Shoreside one tasks you with finding more consumer vehicles, and the second one in Portland tasks you with finding more commercial vehicles. Those are the 16 cars that you have to get, and in no particular order I will be showing you how to obtain those. First up is the taxi, which is driven pretty much anywhere. There is a couple of spawn points, notably at the Shoreside Airport car park, but of course you can just pick that off up the streets and it's no real biggie to get. The next car we're going after does involve going to the Shoreside Airport car park, which actually has about 3 or 4 of these cars in here, so it is a great place to come and pick up a fair few of these cars. The next one we're looking at is one of the best cars in the game, the Infernus Supercar, which is right towards the front. Bear in mind sometimes the cars in the car park are locked. If they are, simply circle the block and come back. Failing that, just make one of them explode and then come back to it and you should be alright. Anyways, drop off the Infernus for a tasty $1,500. So that's what you get each time you drop a car off. You get $1,500 and then at the end you get a lump sum and also the chance to order any car you want, which I'll show later. Next up is the Landstalker, a car which spawns mainly in traffic in pretty much every city save for Portland. So it should be a relatively easy one to pick up. There are a couple of spawn points for it though, most notably the one at the park where it actually starts a side mission, but if you want to get the car without starting that side mission, simply push it out the way and then go ahead and get in the vehicle. But yeah, it does have a fair few spawn points. There's also a spawn point for it in Shoreside Vale outside of one of the houses, so that is a pretty good place to pick one of these up if you like. The next car on our list is going to be the Stinger, which again can be found in traffic in Shoreside and in Staunton. If you cannot find it in traffic, there is, I believe, a spawn point for this in the airport car park. If there isn't though, this one is not too difficult to find. There's also one that spawns at another house in Shoreside Vale. I'll show you sort of the houses in Shoreside. Ironically enough, 3 of the cars actually spawn there, so most of these cars can actually be found natively in Shoreside Vale. The next car involves us taking another trip once again to the airport car park, and we go all the way to the end to find the Esperanto, which is not a particularly good car. Very strong car, but not particularly great in the terms of its performance, but nevertheless it is a car required for this import-export list, just not one I'd particularly consider getting back once you have delivered it, but it is again available in the airport car park and it's one of the only vehicles there that doesn't really seem to have an alarm, which is nice. Simply bring it to the garage once again, drop it off, 1,500 quid. You can see how this goes. It's pretty simple. Finding some of the cars can be a bit of a nightmare, but this particular sort of list, you can usually knock this list out within about half an hour or so. It shouldn't take too long. Our next car is going to involve coming down to the Shoreside houses, so this sort of main street near the Cartel Mansion is where you're going to want to be for the Cheetah. There is also a Stinger and a Landstalker spawn in some of the houses as well, so bear that in mind if you're struggling to find those vehicles. Yeah, Cheetah, a very good car as well, one of the top tier supercars in the game. Do recommend perhaps getting one of those for yourself if you like. Once again, we return to my favourite place in the game, the Shoreside Vale Airport car park, for car number... I can't even remember what number we're on at this point. Anyways, we're grabbing an equally crap car this time. It's time for the Mignana. A small, stubby little car with not particularly much performance or stamina or any desirable attributes at all, really. Yeah, not a great car, it has to be said. But you know, provided you can get over driving something so incredibly uncool as this vehicle, it is worth 1,500 quid to you at this garage. And don't worry, there is also one other car which you have to pick up for this, which is also relatively embarrassing to be seen in, so be prepared for that. Once again, Shoreside Vale Airport, you get the drill, smash through the barriers in order to get the Sentinel next up. One of the best all-round cars in the game because it can seat 4 passengers, It is relatively quick, relatively strong, an absolutely fantastic all-round car, the Sentinel. One I really do like. It also looks quite good to boot as well. Yeah, essentially it's this and the Kuruma are my two favourite four-door saloon cars in the game. Again, drop it off. Don't worry about losing it because you can pick it up later from this garage, as I will show you later on in the video. Next up, I actually found our next car on the bridge to Staunton Island. It is the Stallion. It does spawn in the Shoreside Vale Airport car park. It also spawns in a car park in Staunton, the same place where we did the multi-story Mayhem side mission, if you remember that one. You can pick the Stallion up from either one of those. Pretty easy cars to spot though. This one does drive around relatively commonly in the Liberty City area, even in Portland, for a change. The next couple of cars I did have to go slightly further afield for. First up, the Stretch Limo. This one can only be found randomly in traffic, or you can secure one from one of the Salvatore missions, but I don't really recommend that because you have to use a flying cars cheat to get it over, and with that one being sort of bulletproof and damage proof and all the rest of it, I wouldn't really want to export that one. But if you drive sort of around the Love Media building, sort of that way, down in Staunton, round Bedford Point, eventually a Stretch Limo should show up. Just have to make it to the drive to Shoreside, get over the bridge, and then the Stretch Limo is secured. Next up, the Banshee can be found at Asuka's pad. The Banshee is probably the most common of all of the sports supercars in the game. It spawns on Portland Island, even in the Capital Autos place if you want to grab it from there, but I do recommend just going to Asuka's pad as it's the quickest place. It may have a spawn point in Shoreside as well. I think it does actually, in like a car park near your safe house, but I forgot about that when I was doing this, so oops. Yeah, go me. Next up, we are going to be taking, well, the Kuruma, another easy car to find, relatively common in traffic, one of my favourite four-door cars in the game. I love the front-wheel drive handling and the looks. Yeah, pretty common car in traffic. If you can't find these, they do spawn in a few places around the map, especially in Portland and on Staunton Island. I believe it can be actually found with the Portland import-export list in sort of that car park, if you need to find that, which I will show off in a later video. Next up, the BF Injection, a car which is probably the one you're going to have to travel furthest for. It's only available in Portland at Misty's pad between the times of 8 o'clock and, between 6 o'clock and midnight after the Sayonara Salvatore mission. Yeah, you can only pick it up from there. It's the only place it spawns. Just simply use the Porter Tunnel to get to and from Portland to avoid this being shot at by the Mafia, and you will have secured yourself the BF Injection. A very rare car indeed, very fun car to drive around in as well. Don't feel too bad about exporting it. Next up, we are back here in Staunton Island to find the Idaho. This car does spawn in Portland at the Chinatown School. If you want to get one quicker. I believe that also has a spawn point for the Esperanto as well, if for some reason you are allergic to the Shoreside Vale Airport car park. Idaho, not a particularly hard car to find. Essentially a worse Esperanto in the way it drives though, so don't keep hold of this one too long and get it exported as soon as you can, and you'll be worth 1,500 quid better off. Next up, we are heading back to Portland. This time I am securing the Perennial. Yeah, I actually had to travel all the way to Portland for the bloody Perennial. I don't actually think there's any permanent spawn points for the Perennial anywhere in the city, but it can be found driving around unless you get really unlucky like me, and you have to drive this incredibly uncool station wagon back to Shoreside Vale from Portland. It does take a while, maybe pack a snack. But yeah, that one shouldn't be too difficult to find, but for whatever reason, I found it difficult. Also, you can obtain it from a King Courtney mission if you want to store it afterwards. And finally, the final car I got, ironically enough, should be one of the most common ones. It was the Cabby. The Cabby has a permanent spawn point here at Portland View at the Mean Street Cabbies Co., just across the road from the Bitch and Dog food shop. Yeah. This one shouldn't take nearly as long. This one spawns everywhere around the city, but for whatever reason, really did not want to show up for me in Shoreside Vale. Anyways, after delivering the final car, you get a nice little surprise. I believe it's 200,000 credits bonus, and now you can walk into the garage and spawn any of the cars by walking into its logos. As you can see, there's the GTA 3 logos, there's the name of every car above it, and when you want to order a car, you just simply walk into the marker, go outside, wait for the vehicle, and it will be spawned. So this is a great idea for stuff like unique stun jumps. You can spawn in furnaces and cheaters on command, many other uses as well, spawning BF injections and so on and so forth. Anyways, that is the import-export list completed for Shoreside Vale. Do hope you've enjoyed. Next time, we are going to be taking a look at the Shoreside Vale rampages. Join me for that. Until then, farewell.